When my daughter-in-law stood in my living room and told me she was pregnant with another man's baby, I collapsed into my armchair, unable to breathe. Days later, I was signing papers to mortgage my retirement home to save my son from financial ruin she'd orchestrated. That's when I realized love isn't just blind. It's a willing hostage that hands over the keys to its own prison cell. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. Because trust me, this story twists harder than a tornado in a trailer park, and you'll want to be here for every shocking moment. My name is Ethan Montgomery. At 62, I thought I had life figured out. 30 years as a school principal taught me to read people, or so I believed. My son Matthew married Clara 8 years ago, and I welcomed her like the daughter I never had. They gave me 2 beautiful grandchildren, Emma and Jacob, and I settled comfortably into retirement, my golden years stretching peacefully ahead. Or so I thought. It began with a phone call on a Tuesday afternoon. I was pruning my rose bushes when Matthew's number flashed on my screen.
Dad.
His voice cracked. I need you to come over.
Now.
I found my son sitting at his kitchen table, surrounded by credit card statements and bank notices. His face was ashen, eyes red-rimmed. She's been gambling, he whispered. For years. Online casinos, sports betting, everything. He pushed a paper toward me. We're over $300,000 in debt. The house is mortgaged to the hilt. My retirement account is empty. I stared at the statements, disbelief turning to rage. Where is she?
Gone.
Took her clothes and disappeared 3 days ago. He looked up, his expression gutting me. That's not all, Dad. My stomach clenched. What else? She's pregnant. She told me before she left, it's not mine. His voice broke. She's been seeing someone for months. Someone with money. The room tilted. Clara, who'd called me Dad and kissed my cheek every Sunday dinner for 8 years, had destroyed my son's life, my grandchildren's security, and was carrying another man's child. The bank is foreclosing in 30 days. Matthew continued, his voice hollow. The kids don't know yet. Script part separator ===. I leaned against the counter, struggling to process this nightmare. Who is he? I demanded. This man she's been seeing? Matthew shook his head. Some investor she met at a charity function. Victor Pearson. He owns half the commercial property downtown. The name hit me like a physical blow. Victor Pearson was one of the wealthiest men in our county, divorced 3 times, 20 years Clara's senior, with a reputation for collecting beautiful things. And people. Have you called the police? I asked. For what? She didn't steal anything. I gave her access to everything. Matthew's laugh was bitter. I trusted her completely, Dad. That night, I took Matthew and the kids to my house. Emma, 9, and Jacob, 6, thought it was an adventure, a sleepover at Grandpa's. If only they knew their lives were collapsing around them. After they were asleep, I poured Matthew a whiskey. We'll fight this, I promised.
How?
The money's gone. My credit is destroyed. I took a deep breath. I have my retirement savings. And the house is paid off.
No.
Matthew's head snapped up. Absolutely not. They're my grandchildren, I said firmly. I won't watch them lose their home. The next morning, I called Jean Wilcox, my oldest friend and the sharpest lawyer in 3 counties. She arrived an hour later, briefcase in hand, reading glasses perched on her nose. This is a disaster, she said after reviewing the documents. But not necessarily a lost cause. What do you mean? I asked. Jean's eyes gleamed with that look I'd seen countless times over 40 years of friendship. They had a prenuptial agreement, yes? Let me see it. Matthew produced the document from a folder. Jean skimmed it, then smiled, a predator sensing weakness. Clara made a critical mistake, she said. This infidelity clause is ironclad, and the financial disclosure requirements are extensive. If she violated them, which she clearly did, I interjected, then we can not only void her claims to Matthew's future earnings, but potentially claw back assets transferred to her or her associates. Jean looked up. But first, we need to find her. I straightened my shoulders. I'll find her. What I didn't say was that I already had an idea where to look. and that when I found Clara, she would learn that she hadn't just betrayed my son. She'd awakened something in me I'd kept buried for decades. A relentless, ruthless side I'd never shown my students, my colleagues, or even my family. I need 24 hours, I told Jean. Script part separator equals. I left Jean's office with determination hardening my veins. Clara thought she could disappear, but she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I'd been watching her longer than she knew. 3 months earlier, I'd noticed her mysterious weekend shopping trips. Call it an old principal's instinct. When Emma mentioned, Mommy got a special phone that Daddy doesn't know about, my suspicions crystallized. I hadn't said anything. Who wants to believe the worst about family? Now I was grateful for my silence. My first stop was the Emerald, the swankiest hotel downtown. Victor Pearson owned it, and Clara had mentioned it too often, her eyes lingering whenever we drove past. I straightened my tie and approached the front desk. I need to speak with Clara Montgomery, please. The young receptionist smiled politely. I'm sorry, sir. We don't have a guest by that name. Try Clara Pearson, I said quietly. Her fingers tapped the keyboard.
Yes.
The Lakeview suite. She reached for the phone. No need to call up, I interrupted. I'm expected. Of course, Mr. Montgomery. Family business. 10 minutes later, I knocked on the suite door. When it opened, Clara's eyes widened in genuine shock. Ethan. She wore silk loungewear, hair perfectly styled despite the early hour. How did you find you? Did you think I wouldn't? She glanced nervously behind her before stepping into the hallway, pulling the door nearly shut. This isn't a good time. Is it ever a good time to destroy your family? My voice remained eerily calm. To empty your children's college funds for blackjack and roulette? Matthew sent you. Her face hardened. He doesn't understand. I needed space. Space costs $300,000 these days? Interesting. I leaned closer. The children asked where their mother went. What should I tell them? Something flashed in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, or just annoyance at being confronted. I'll explain everything to them myself, once things settle. You don't understand what's happening. Then enlighten me. The door opened wider behind her. Victor Pearson appeared, silver-haired and immaculately dressed in a monogrammed robe. Is there a problem, darling? I smiled coldly. Mr. Pearson. Perfect timing. We need to discuss your role in defrauding my son. Script part separator equals. His eyebrows rose. I beg your pardon? I don't believe we've met. Ethan Montgomery. Father of the man whose wife and money you've taken. Victor's laugh was practiced, condescending. Clara came to me of her own accord. Whatever financial arrangements existed between her and your son are none of my concern. Clara placed a hand on his arm. Victor, please. Actually, I interrupted, pulling out my phone. I think you'll find it is your concern. I played a video. One Matthew had discovered on Clara's cloud storage while searching for financial records. It showed Clara and Victor in his office, counting cash. That little safety deposit box trick worked perfectly, Clara's voice said on the recording. Matthew has no idea we've been moving his investments. Victor's face drained of color. Where did you get that? There's more, I said calmly. Much more. Jean Wilcox, you know her, I believe, is reviewing everything as we speak. Clara stepped forward. Ethan, you don't understand. Matthew was going to lose everything anyway. His business partner was embezzling. Stop lying. My composure finally cracked. 8 years of lies is enough. Victor moved Clara aside. I think you should leave, Mr. Montgomery. Before I call security. I smiled.
Call them.
I'm sure the police would be interested in this conversation too. You're bluffing, Clara hissed. Try me. I met her gaze. Your children deserve better than a mother who abandons them. You have 24 hours to return the money, or I go to the district attorney. All of it, not just what you took from Matthew, but what you helped Victor siphon from his investors too. Victor's face contorted.
What are you talking about?
Ask your pregnant girlfriend. I turned to leave. 24 hours, Clara. Behind me, I heard Victor's angry whisper. Pregnant? What the hell is he talking about? I walked away as their argument exploded, feeling no satisfaction, only determination. This was just the opening move. Back in my car, I called Jean. I found her, and it's worse than we thought. Victor Pearson is involved. Jean sighed. That complicates things. He has powerful friends. And enemies, I reminded her. Remember Thomas Kingsley? The developer Pearson pushed into bankruptcy last year? Hard to forget. I started the engine. Let's pay him a visit. I have a feeling he might want to help us. Script part separator equals. As I drove to meet Thomas Kingsley, my phone rang. It was Matthew. Dad, where are you? The kids are asking questions. Handling things, I said. Keep them busy with that puzzle I bought last Christmas. I'll be home soon. I found Thomas Kingsley living in a modest apartment, a far cry from his former mansion. When I explained why I'd come, his eyes lit with vengeful fire. Pearson destroyed me, he said, pouring us both scotch. Used Clara to get close, learn my weaknesses. Then struck when I was vulnerable. So she's done this before. Kingsley nodded grimly. She's his weapon. Beautiful, charming, and utterly ruthless. They've targeted at least 3 other businessmen I know.
I need evidence, I said.
He smiled thinly. How fortunate that I never throw anything away. 2 hours later, I left with a flash drive containing emails, photos, and financial records documenting Victor and Clara's pattern of seduction and fraud. When I returned home, Matthew was waiting on my porch. Where have you been? He demanded. Jean called, said you were gathering ammunition. What does that mean? I showed him the flash drive. It means we're not the first family they've destroyed. And we won't be their last victims unless we stop them. The kids need stability, Dad. Maybe we should just
what?
Let them get away with it? I gripped his shoulders. They're coming after your business next. This isn't just about the money she stole or the affair. It's about stopping them before they hurt more people. Matthew's expression hardened. What's the plan? Jean's drawing up papers. We need to move fast. Clara's pregnancy gives us a ticking clock. And Victor? I smiled grimly. Let's just say his investors might be interested in where their money's been going. That night, I couldn't sleep. The weight of what we were about to do pressed on me. But when I thought of Emma and Jacob's futures hanging in the balance, my resolve strengthened. The next morning, Jean arrived with court documents. Emergency hearing set for Friday, she announced. Judge Harmon owes me a favor. Script part separator equals. 2 days before our court date, Clara showed up at my door unannounced. Gone was the polished woman from the hotel suite. Her eyes were puffy, hair pulled into a messy ponytail. Can I see the children? She asked, voice small. I blocked the doorway. They're at school. And you forfeited any right to see them when you emptied their college funds. I didn't take their money. Tears welled in her eyes. Victor did. He said it was just borrowing. I believed him. Like you believed him about the baby? I kept my voice cold. Her hand moved protectively to her stomach. That's real. But the rest? I got in too deep, Ethan. The gambling started small, just something exciting in my boring life. Then I owed money. And Victor said he'd help. In exchange for what? Information about Matthew's business? She flinched. It wasn't like that at first. Save the performance for court. We know about Thomas Kingsley. And the others. You don't understand. Her composure cracked. Victor has evidence against Matthew too. Things that could send him to prison. My blood chilled.
What are you talking about?
Tax fraud. Falsified loan applications. Victor made sure Matthew's signature is on everything. I stared at her, mind racing. You're lying. Check the office safe. Behind the family portrait, there's a USB drive. Before I could respond, a black SUV pulled up. Victor emerged, face thunderous. Clara, he shouted. Get in the car.
Now.
She glanced at him, then back to me. I'm sorry, she whispered.
For everything.
As she walked away, Victor pointed at me. This isn't over, Montgomery. Your son's as guilty as the rest of us. I watched them drive off, ice forming in my veins. Was Clara telling the truth about Matthew? Or was this another manipulation? I needed to find that USB drive before a court date tomorrow. Script part separator equals. Racing to Matthew's office, I called Jean. Clara claims Victor planted evidence against Matthew. Tax fraud, loan applications. Divide and conquer, Jean replied grimly. Classic intimidation tactic. Matthew's business partner, Derek, was locking up when I arrived. Mr. Montgomery? Matthew's not here. I need to check something in his office. Derek hesitated. I can't just. It's about Clara and Victor Pearson, I said firmly. His expression changed. Take all the time you need. Inside Matthew's office, I removed the family portrait. There was a small wall safe. The combination. What would Matthew use? I tried his children's birth dates. Nothing. Then I tried Clara's. Click. Inside was a single USB drive. My hands shook as I plugged it into Matthew's computer. Documents appeared, loan applications with Matthew's signature requesting funds for non-existent business expansions. Tax returns showing phantom losses. All dated over the past 3 years, exactly when Clara had entered their lives. My phone rang. Matthew. Dad, Clara just called. She's threatening to go to the IRS if we don't drop everything. I found the USB, I said. The signatures look real. What? I never signed anything like that. Forgeries, I realized. Good ones. Jean's voice cut in. I'd forgotten. She was still on the line. This changes our strategy. We need handwriting analysis, and fast. We only have until morning, I reminded her. Then we work all night, she replied. And Ethan? Bring the kids to my place. If Victor and Clara are getting desperate, we need to protect them. That night, while Emma and Jacob slept at Jean's heavily alarmed home, we assembled our counterattack. Matthew called everyone who'd ever witnessed his signature. I contacted a forensic document examiner who owed me a favor from my principal days. By dawn, we had our ammunition. The signatures were skillfully forged, but the document examiner found microscopic hesitation marks consistent with tracing. As we prepared to leave for court, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Storage Unit 247, Westlake Facility. Code 8563. What you need is inside. T.K. Thomas Kingsley. What had he found? Script part separator The courthouse loomed before us, its stone columns suddenly ominous. Court would begin in 40 minutes. Just enough time. I handed Jean our evidence files. You head in. I need to make a detour. She frowned. Now? We're due before Judge Harmon. Trust me. I'll be there. The Westlake storage facility was 10 minutes away. Unit 247 stood at the end of a long row. I punched in the code with trembling fingers. 8-5-6-3. The metal door rolled up to reveal a small space containing only a single item, a filing cabinet with a note taped to it. Insurance policy. Clara doesn't know, I kept copies. Thomas. Inside were folders labeled with dates and names, each containing identical schemes. Seduction. Financial information gathering. Evidence planting. Asset stripping. 5 victims before Matthew. All with Victor's and Clara's fingerprints all over them. But the last folder made my blood freeze. It was labeled Exit Strategy and contained passport photos of Clara with different hair colors, offshore account numbers, and a detailed plan for disappearing with millions, leaving Victor behind to take the fall. She was planning to betray him too. I grabbed the most damning documents and raced back to the courthouse, arriving with minutes to spare. Jean's eyes widened as I slipped into the seat beside her and Matthew. Where were you? She hissed. Getting the final nail for their coffin, I whispered, sliding the documents across. Her eyes scanned the pages, a slow smile spreading. Oh, this is delicious. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Harmon entered, his stern gaze sweeping the room. Clara sat with her attorney on one side, Victor conspicuously absent. She'd dressed conservatively, her hand resting on her stomach, playing the expectant mother card. If she wanted theater, I thought grimly, she was about to get a command performance. Script part separator equals. As the hearing began, I watched Clara's face carefully. She projected wounded innocence, occasionally dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Her attorney, an expensive-looking man in a tailored suit, painted Matthew as a controlling husband who'd driven her to desperate measures. Mrs. Montgomery simply sought financial independence from an emotionally abusive situation, he argued smoothly. Any financial irregularities were the result of her attempts to protect herself and her unborn child. Matthew tensed beside me, knuckles white. Jean squeezed his arm reassuringly before rising. Your Honor, we have evidence that will dramatically change the court's understanding of this situation. She approached with our documents. Mrs. Montgomery and her partner, Victor Pearson, have engaged in a systematic pattern of fraud targeting successful businessmen. Clara's attorney objected immediately. These unsubstantiated claims are irrelevant to the divorce proceedings. Judge Harmon reviewed the first few pages, his expression darkening. I'll allow it. Continue, Ms. Wilcox. Jean launched into a devastating presentation. Bank records showing Clara's gambling losses. Evidence of her affair beginning just 3 months after the wedding. The forged documents planted to incriminate Matthew. When she presented Thomas Kingsley's files detailing the identical schemes against other victims, Clara's composure finally cracked. Victor made me do it. She burst out, ignoring her attorney's attempts to silence her. He threatened me. I had no choice. Is that why you prepared this exit strategy to abandon him as well? Jean asked, presenting the final folder. Clara went pale. Script part separator equals. Her attorney frantically whispered in her ear, but Clara pushed him away, standing abruptly. You don't understand what it's like, she said, voice breaking. Being with men like Victor, like Matthew, men who only see you as an accessory, a trophy. My son loved you, I said, rising to face her. He built his life around you. Clara laughed bitterly. He built his life around the idea of me. The perfect wife who'd never inconvenience him with her own dreams. And was emptying her children's college funds one of those dreams? Matthew asked, his first words since the hearing began. The courtroom fell silent. The children, Clara whispered, hand returning to her stomach. They were never supposed to be hurt. Judge Harmon's gavel cracked. Mrs. Montgomery, these are serious allegations against you. Where is Mr. Pearson today? Her attorney stepped forward. Your Honor, my client wishes to. The courtroom doors burst open. Victor Pearson strode in, flanked by 2 men in dark suits. Your Honor, Victor announced, I apologize for my tardiness. I've been meeting with federal investigators. He gestured to the men beside him. Agents Roberts and Chun, FBI Financial Crimes Division. Clara's face drained of color. Victor, what have you done? He smiled coldly. Securing my future, darling.
Just like you taught me.
One of the agents stepped forward. Clara Montgomery, we have a warrant for your arrest for wire fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy. Clara backed away, looking wildly around the room until her eyes locked with mine. In that moment, I saw something I never expected, genuine fear. Ethan, she pleaded. Don't let them take me. The baby. Is the baby even real? I asked quietly. She froze, and I knew the answer. Script part separator equals. The courtroom erupted as the FBI agents approached Clara. Her attorney attempted to intervene, but Judge Harmon silenced him with a bang of his gavel. Order. This court will have order. Clara's hand dropped from her stomach, the pregnancy charade abandoned. As the agents read her rights, she fixed her gaze on Victor. You promised we'd leave together, she hissed. After we finished with Matthew. Victor straightened his tie. Plans change, my dear. Just like you were planning to change ours. He nodded toward the exit strategy folder. Did you really think I wouldn't find out about your little insurance policy? The second agent addressed the judge. Your Honor, we also have a warrant for Victor Pearson's arrest. Victor's smug expression collapsed.
What?
This is absurd.
I'm cooperating.
Flipping on your partner doesn't erase your crimes, Mr. Pearson, the agent replied. As they were both led away, Clara paused beside Matthew. I did love you, she whispered. At the beginning. Matthew looked straight ahead. Save it for your sentencing hearing. Judge Harmon dismissed court for the day, scheduling a continuation for the following week. Outside, reporters swarmed us, cameras flashing. Mr. Montgomery, how does it feel to expose such an elaborate con? I stepped in front of Matthew. My family has been through enough. No comment. Jean guided us to her car through the media circus. The criminal charges change everything, she said. Matthew, we'll likely recover most of your assets once they're done tracing the money. And the kids? He asked, his voice cracking for the first time that day. The court will see you as the victim here, she assured him. Clara won't be in any position to challenge custody. As we drove away, I watched my son's reflection in the window. His face showed no triumph, only exhaustion and grief. Dad, he said quietly, how do I tell Emma and Jacob their mother is going to prison? Script part separator equals. I put my hand on his shoulder, feeling the weight of his question. With honesty but carefully. They're young enough that they don't need all the details. When we arrived at Jean's house, Emma ran to Matthew, wrapping her arms around his waist. Daddy, Aunt Jean has a pool. Can we swim tomorrow? Jacob looked up from his dinosaur toys. Where's Mommy? Is she coming back? Matthew knelt before them, his voice steady despite the pain in his eyes. We need to talk about Mommy, guys. She's going to be away for a while. Like when she went on her business trips. Emma asked. Longer than that, Matthew said gently. Mommy made some mistakes, big ones, and now she has to face consequences. Is she in trouble? Jacob's lower lip trembled. I joined them, sitting on Jean's ottoman. Your mom broke some important rules, buddy. Like when you take something that doesn't belong to you. Like when I took Emma's bracelet and got a timeout.
Jacob asked.
Something like that, I nodded, but grown-up rules. Emma, always perceptive, studied our faces. Is that why we're staying at Grandpa's? Because Mommy's in trouble? Matthew pulled them both close. We're staying together, because that's what families do. We take care of each other, no matter what. That night, after the children were asleep, Jean joined us on the back porch with a bottle of whiskey. The FBI agent called, she said, pouring 3 glasses. They found offshore accounts. Clara and Victor have been doing this for years, longer than we thought. At least 8 other victims. Where did it all go wrong? Matthew stared into his glass. How did I not see who she really was? Script part separator equals. She wasn't always this person, I said, though I wasn't entirely convinced. The gambling might have been the catalyst. Jean shook her head. People don't become con artists overnight. She was always this person, Matthew.
She just hit it well.
For 3 weeks following the hearing, our lives existed in a strange limbo. The children stayed with me, while Matthew worked with forensic accountants to reconstruct his finances. Clara and Victor remained in federal custody, denied bail as flight risks. Then came the day of reckoning, Clara's formal sentencing after her plea deal. The courtroom was nearly empty this time. No reporters, no spectacle. Just our family, the prosecutors, and Clara in her prison jumpsuit, looking small and defeated. 7 years, the judge announced, with a possibility of parole after 4. As they led her away, Clara locked eyes with me one final time. Tell my children I'm sorry, she mouthed. I gave a single nod, though I wasn't sure I'd honor that request. Outside, Matthew stared at the sky, hands deep in his pockets. It's finally over. Not quite, I reminded him. We still have the civil case to recover the money. He shook his head. I don't care about the money anymore. I just want to move forward. I squeezed his shoulder. The kids need stability. Financial security is part of that. What they need is their father, he said firmly. And their grandfather. The rest we'll figure out. 3 months later, justice arrived in unexpected form. Victor's former associates, hoping for leniency, revealed hidden assets in the Cayman Islands, including funds taken from Matthew. The court ordered full restitution plus damages. On Emma's 10th birthday, we moved back into Matthew's house. The children ran to their old rooms, exclaiming over forgotten toys and familiar spaces. That evening, after cake and presents, I found Matthew sitting on the back porch, staring at the stars. "Dad," he said quietly, "I got a letter from Clara today." My stomach tightened. What did she want? Forgiveness. He handed me the envelope, and she enclosed something else. Inside was a handwritten confession detailing every aspect of her scheme with Victor, naming accomplices we hadn't discovered, and the location of additional hidden assets. Why would she do this? I wondered aloud. The prosecutor says she's trying to reduce her sentence. Matthew shrugged. But I think part of her actually feels remorse. 6 months later, we attended Victor Pearson's sentencing. 20 years, no possibility of early parole. The man who'd thought himself untouchable was led away in chains, his empire dismantled. As life settled into a new normal, I watched my son rebuild. He started dating again, cautiously. The children thrived, though they occasionally asked about their mother. We answered honestly, but kindly. One afternoon, as Emma helped me in the garden, she asked, "Grandpa, are you still angry at Mom?" I considered the question carefully. I was angry because she hurt people I love. But anger is heavy, sweetheart. Sometimes you have to set it down to move forward. She nodded, wise beyond her years. Like how you taught me to forgive Joey when he broke my science project. Something like that. That night, looking at my family around the dinner table, laughing, whole again despite everything, I realized the final truth of our ordeal. Betrayal may bend you, break you even, but what matters is how you put yourself back together. And sometimes, the pieces form something stronger than before. The story of Clara's betrayal will always be part of our family history, but it no longer defines us. Yesterday, Matthew told me he's proposing to Sarah, a woman who loves his children as her own. When betrayal strikes, you have 2 choices. Let it destroy you, or let it transform you. We chose transformation. And in that choice, we found our freedom.